do you think we ought to pay all this money back that we're going to borrow and that we already have borrowed?
I think that we will need to get back on a sustainable fiscal path. And the way that has worked when it's successful is you just get the economy growing faster than the debt. I think that we're going to need to do that, and that's going to need to happen, but it doesn't need to happen now. Now is the wrong time to be doing that.
Do you think we ought to go Catwoman on the budget and actually look for savings there?
Go Catwoman? I don't know that reference. I think in the fullness of time, we will need to right size our budget relative to our so that the economy is growing faster in nominal terms than the debt will have to eventually on the path we're on.
Well, do you think the deficits matter?
Certainly in the long run, I do believe they do.
You don't think they matter in the short run?
Again, I think we will need to return to this.
I get to call on Haggerty because he's waited so long.
This we'll need to return to this issue, but I wouldn't return to it now. And the way to get after this issue is to get a situation where the economy is growing faster in nominal terms than the debt is.
What if that becomes the case, but your spending is also growing faster than your economy?
Well, no, that is the deficit. I mean, the question really is that the deficit is the difference between intake and spending. So it depends. It's the net of those two.
Let me stop you, Mr. Chairman, because I'm going to have one last question quickly. M2, the money supply, is up, I think, about $4 trillion over the past year. Or $6 trillion, $4 trillion, $6 trillion. What's a few trillion? Or $6 trillion, $4 trillion, $6 trillion. What's a few trillion? What's a few trillion? It's up 26%, the highest amount since 1943. What does that tell you?
Well, when you and I studied economics a million years ago, that M2 and monetary aggregates generally seem to have a relationship to economic growth. Right now, I would say the growth of M2, which is quite substantial, doesn't really have important implications for the economic outlook. M2 was removed some years ago from the standard list of leading indicators, and that classic relationship between monetary aggregates and economic growth and the size of the economy, it just no longer holds. We've had big growth of monetary aggregates at various times without inflation. So something we have to unlearn, I guess.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Cortez Masto from Nevada.